What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the House of Nerds. And today we are adding another reason to our list of why piracy might not be a bad thing. This time, it is our quadruple A game producing company, Ubisoft. I know the issue is not the fact that they're selling 2012 looking titles at post apocalyptic prices. It's not even the fact that their games just feel lazy and lack innovation. This time, the offense is that they're deleting games from libraries of gamers like you and I. Folks recently reported that The Crew, a Ubisoft title, not only had become inoperable, but even the license to these games were being revoked from players. A game that they bought with their own money got taken away from them. Let's read the article. Ubisoft is deleting The Crew from players' libraries, reminding us we own nothing. The company is pulling licenses from paying customers now that the servers have shut down. Ubisoft's online only racing game, The Crew, stopped being operable on April 1. Some users are reporting, however, that things have gone a bit further. They say the company actually reached into Ubisoft Connect accounts and revoked the license to access the game, according to reports by GameRant and others. Some of these users liken this move to theft, as they had purchased the game with their own money and received no warning from that Ubisoft would be deleting the license. When attempting to launch the game, these players say they received a message stating that access was no longer possible. And this is not just the case in games market. We have been noticing the same in other media streaming services as well, like Crunchyroll for that matter. Let's read another article. Funimation will shut down on April 2, 2024. That means users are being ported over to Crunchyroll, but as Funimation's users shift to their platform, they will do so without their library of purchased content. We understand that you may have concerns about your digital copies from Funimation. These digital copies available on Funimation were a digital access to the content available on the DVDs or Blu-rays purchased. Please note that Crunchyroll does not currently support Funimation digital copies, which means that access to previously available digital copies will not be supported. However, we are continuously boilerplate, boilerplate, boilerplate. Now that's the situation, folks. And I'm not talking about you getting your access revoked once you stop paying for a subscription. I'm talking about titles that you separately purchased. I can totally understand that if I'm paying for something like Game Pass, I will get access to a library of games from which I can play anything, anytime, as long as I'm subscribed. And once my subscription expires, I lose access to the library. It is not just a digital thing. We have the same IRL. We go to a library, we get a membership, subscription, whatever, that gives us access to all the books that are there in the library as long as we have a valid membership. But if I go to a bookstore and I buy a book, and 2 days later, the store owner comes knocking at my door, say, "Yo, remember the book you purchased from our store 2 days ago? Give that back." And he proceeds to just take it away from your shelf and leave. Well, we're obviously going to have a problem. And this is the same problem we are having right now. They're taking away things that we legally own. This brings me to the problem statement. If buying isn't owning, is piracy theft? I mean, I don't think so. Now, some dum-dums are going to start saying, "Oh, you don't pay for the game, you pay for a license," which makes absolutely no sense. But since you want to argue, let's argue. When you purchase a game from Steam, let's say, you get access to achievements, a playtime count, you have a different installation process, you get to see which of your friends are playing that game, right? Now, when you pirate the game, you don't get a playtime counter, you don't get achievements, the installation process is different. So is it even the same game? Probably not. It might have some resemblance to your game, just like every phone you buy has resemblance to another. They all make calls, they all send texts, they all run WhatsApp, but it isn't necessarily the same phone. Similarly, yeah, you drive the same cars, same roads, but still isn't the same game, as the experience is vastly different. And if it isn't the same game, it's not your game, so bugger off, I guess. Now, if you have a problem with that logic, you should be able to understand why not owning stuff we buy can be equally problematic. Now you can argue saying, well, nobody can beat free. Free is always going to be a sweeter deal than any paid alternative, which is true. And I'm not saying that there aren't a bunch of folks who's never going to pay for nothing, no matter what. And I won't even defend them, whatever their reasons might be. Because I understand that if a creator is not able to make money doing what they love, there will come a point when they will stop creating products born out of passion. And that is not a good place to be in. But in reality, most people will pay for stuff when they can. They want to pay for stuff. I own Witcher 3 both on PC and on Xbox. I own Cyberpunk 2077 both on PC and on Xbox. Why? Because I have faith in what they do. I know that even if they have a rocky start, whatever the reason might be, they will come about fixing it as they have already demonstrated before. Another thing is people have often seen an increase in sales when they use purchasing power parity to have different prices for different countries. In other words, when they are trying to make it sensible to buy stuff based on where the person is, it actually works. Thor, for example, if you've come across him, I mean, you're bound to. He's all over my shorts. I mean, that's not what I meant, but you know what I mean. But he has a game called Hardbound, and he saw an increase in sales when he did that. Many companies are doing that. Even Twitch decided to do that. Not trying to make a case for Twitch, but just trying to point out that if they are doing it, you have to understand that there is money to be made. Now, the problem arises when you get crappier service out of paying the full price. This includes stuff getting deleted from your library after you have paid for it. Take into account famous YouTuber Louis Rossmann, who fights. I might be butchering the name, pardon me if I am, but he just fights giants like Apple for consumer rights and everything. He realized that even though he was paying for the highest tier for Netflix, the bitrate he was getting was way less than what he was paying for, just because he was using some browser or something. But I will leave that video for another day. Thing is this screwing of the customer by the companies that trigger people, especially who are a little tech savvy. It makes them wonder, why are we paying to get treated poorly? I mean, I know there are weird kings, people actually pay money to get ill treated. There are apparently restaurants that have run out of ideas to make themselves unique and customers who are tired of their human rights or something. But I digress. The average individual hate being ill treated, and some of them start thinking that if companies are constantly going to find some legal loopholes to screw us, can't we find some technical loopholes to save our money from these corporations that don't care about their customers' ownership rights? And these people realize that no matter how many websites get blocked by the government, if one really wants, one can find the information that they want just by looking a bit deeper. It's always going to be there. They also realize that there are a lot of technically capable people all over the world who have the tools and technology to work together and reverse all the collaborative efforts of these companies and the government to steal from us. And some of them actually make use of it. But that is all doom and gloom. I know. But there are other things you can do as a consumer and as a citizen to make things different. I've always believed the loudest protest against these companies are the ones that you do with your wallet. Just stop buying their games, folks. There are so many indie studios that are actually doing something new and making some really interesting games. If you keep funding the corporations that don't care about you, is it too surprising to know that they have zero reason to mend their ways? You know what Todd Howard said about republishing Skyrim again and again? He said he would stop doing it once people stop buying it. So you have to understand that these are companies. Making money for their investors is their job. So obviously, they're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Now, I don't know how frank you can be with your government. It's not the same in all parts of the world. And in a lot of places, the government doesn't see these things as something to worry about, especially in countries where basic stuff has not yet been solved. But if you are in a country where digital rights is taken seriously, then try pushing your government to take action against these companies. Give them a reason to change the way they do things. Only then they will change.